Now welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. Let's get right to the news.
Today I want to talk about Andor. We had so much news about Andor from Celebration, and I can't get over how great the show is. So
I start shaking a little if I don't talk about Andor enough.
If I'm talking about Andor, I
need my Andor fix.
Withdrawals. All right, first off, we have an article about where Diego Luna kind of was praising some of the creative processes behind Season 2. He sat down with Vanity Fair. He's executive producing on this season, which is really cool.
No, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Like, I love Star Wars. That's why I'm happy for him that he got to do the show and that the fan, for the most part, the fan reaction has been extremely positive. That's awesome.
Well, it's cool because as an executive producer, he's collaborating closer with Tony Gilroy, and it's helping to see this whole vision of the season come to life.
No, it's great.
This is what he had to say about the collaboration. Producing a show like this can mean many things, because everything is happening at the same time. Sometimes I'm the eyes on the set, the eyes of Tony Gilroy because he's writing and I'm on set, and I can call him and say, look, this is happening. I'm feeling this. There's a lack of clarity here, or like, man, this just happened. It's amazing. Take a look at it because it might inspire you for what you're working on. I have the chance to see things.
He sees things before they happen.
Sure. Says I can stay home and think about stuff, and I can come back with ideas that by being there every day you couldn't see. There's so much to do that no one is stepping on each other's toes. We complement each other very well. It's difficult to define exactly what I do. And then he laughed, haha. It's about having an opinion when your opinion matters, when there's time for that opinion to shape things. As an actor, mostly every time you come with an opinion or idea, it's a little too late. That's very true. When you're acting, you're there on the set, you're shooting, you can't call on and be like, let's change this whole thing. But as an executive producer, with all of that pre-knowledge and set building and pre-shoots and reading the scripts, he can come out with an idea and they can change things or alter them.
Before they happen. Sorry. No, I think that's awesome. Like I said, I'm extremely happy for Diego, and he seems like a great person. He's a huge Star Wars fan, so I'd imagine this can only make the process and everything smoother.
He was also asked about how he feels with Andor coming to an end.
Wow, and it comes to an end all right, too.
Oh.
Does he mean the character or the show?
Oh, boy. Well, Luna says, the beauty of our show is that we know that it has a beginning and an end. We know the story ends when Rogue One starts. When we were shooting Season 1, we sat down and said, okay, how can we make sure we deliver? The whole show, the idea is 5 years before Rogue One. And the first season is year 1. Now we're doing 4 blocks for Season 2, and each block covers a year. I can't wait for people to see the second season because we learned a lot from the first one, and it would be very disappointing not to have another chance.
I think one of them, that I really liked about Andor was how it does feel like Rogue One. Just tone and everything about it.
Everything. It had the right grounded effect that Tone 1 had.
Yeah, it had a very, very similar vibe to Rogue One. So it's going to be cool, a year or two from now when you can just watch all of it in a row, and it's really going to feel... I think Rogue One is really going to feel like it's a part of Andor.
I think so, too.
I think that's awesome. Even though Diego Luna is going to look younger in Rogue One.
Don't worry about that. Andor is currently filming right now in Valencia, Spain, and production is expected to wrap there soon because we're anticipating a late summer 2024 hit.
Okay. I can survive.
Early Acolyte, late summer, going to hit the...
Bad Batch sometime. The Surprise series late in the year. Surprise.
No, we already talked about what the Surprise series was going to be. The next live-action spin-off from Mando.
Yeah, but it's going to be late in the year. Next year, right?
Yes.
Secretly been filming.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Also, we found out Andy Serkis seemingly confirmed to return for Andor Season 2.
Somehow, Kino Loy has returned.
Well, in the trailer that we totally didn't bootleg...
We didn't bootleg.
No,
we happened to stumble upon it on the internet
bootleg.
after looking for it.
I know he's not in the trailer, but we do see the bad doctor, whose name I can't remember right now.
The bad doctor?
Yeah.
What is his name?
Gorsh?
Yeah, I think
Gorm? Gromity Grom?
No, it's not Gromity. It is something Gorsh or something. I think it is Dr. Gorsh.
And he's torturing somebody or about to get tortured or something. What if he's torturing Kino, thinking he has information about the escape or where these guys could have gone, and he knows...
He's the guy who led the escape.
And he knows things.
It's his voice over the intercom. Everybody, all the Imperials would know. He says his name.
If we all find out, Andor caused this whole thing, and he gets shown Andor's picture, and he's like, oh, that guy was in your block, and
Yeah.
they could be torturing him for information, for all we know.
And then they send him after Andor. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay.
I don't think so, but...
They did purposefully, it seems, leave his fate open-ended in Chapter 10, revealed that he wouldn't be able to escape the prison so easily because he couldn't swim. After months of rumors about his potential return, Lucasfilm seemingly confirmed it. In a press release filling in the details revealed over the weekend in London, Lucasfilm included Serkis's name among the cast for the second and final season. Whether he's just doing stop motion or something for another character would be horrible, and they shouldn't do that.
Well, it could be.
Mm-hmm. So, I think he's coming back. I need him to come back. Everyone needs him to come back. We need to see the fate of Kino Loy, whether he died or not. It needs to... But, Tony Gilroy is a smart person that way, by leaving these open-ended things for fans to just pour over. Like, did Cinta kill those people? Yes. I think she did. I think that's very clear that she did. But he left it open just enough that if you really didn't want to think that happened, you could plausible deniability
it. Yeah, I don't want to think it happened either.
Well, like if for some reason you were watching it with your kids and they're like, Daddy, did she just... No, she just left them. They're all tied up.
That's
it's fine.
the Skywalker. Did Cinta kill the children?
I mean, it was so cool at Celebration. There were cosplayers, groups of them, like dressed up as Narkia 5 prisoners, chanting "One Way Out" through the convention halls. I mean, I think this is one of those situations where, when there's smoke, there's fire.
Oh, God. How long did it take you to come up with that one?
Oh, that's an easy one.
It is. Sounds like something I would say.
That's why.
That's why you're here.
So it's mine. Next up. An Andor director from Season 1 kind of talks about some of the real-world inspirations behind the Season 1 finale. Director Benjamin Caron was the director for the last 3 episodes of Andor. He had the finale. And he spoke with the Hollywood Reporter kind of about how he directed it, working with Gilroy and his philosophy on storytelling. What he started out by saying, Tony Gilroy, about the whole series, and the ending, he was like... Tony is a brilliant, brilliant mind. He's been listening to all these various podcasts about the fall and rise of different empires and the machinations that can be orchestrated to begin a rebellion. So that's what he was interested in, and we just talked about it in the point of view. Tony also talks a lot about the idea of protein in regard to storytelling. I know you're going to like this reference. Sugar might give you a big rush, but afterwards it doesn't leave you feeling satisfied. Whereas if you're eating protein, you may not get an instant high, but you're going to get something deeper and richer if you've invested the time.
In other words, Kenobi was sugar.
Kenobi was all sugar. It was that kid with the breakfast cereal. You have your thing of Frosted Flakes, and you're like, I'm just going to put a couple scoops of sugar on there. Now it's
not enough
all
sugar in Frosted Flakes, yeah.
No, but that's a good way to describe it.
No, I agree.
It wasn't always just sugar, but afterwards you kind of sat there and you just chewed on it for a while, and you're like, yeah.
I'm full.
And you found the richness underneath, the deep flavors and textures in Andor.
I agree. And Andor was not... I mean, there is such a thing as sugary Star Wars, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, I wouldn't say unfortunately. Like, you can... Every now and then you want a nice sugary treat.
Every now and again, yeah.
Book of Boba Fett should have been a sugary treat of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I would have been fine if you had
Someone
a loose
left
plot.
that one out too long.
Yeah, and got soggy in the milk.
It was soured.
But anyway, I mean, yeah, Star Wars can be just fun sugar. I don't think there's never a place for that, but I like protein Star Wars.
You know why I made the cereal pun, right? Because of cereal.
Yeah, I was trying to pretend that wasn't it.
Oh. But the show's creators didn't just draw from history to come up with the story ideas. They also looked at classic cinema. For the finale, both Caron and Gilroy looked to the 1966 war movie, The Battle of Algiers, to help them figure out how to portray the riot on Ferrix. He said, one of my favorite films is The Battle of Algiers. And I was like, there's something about your writing that feels similar to that. And he was like, yeah, that's it. I've got to go back and watch that. And so we just jammed about how great that film is and how much of that flavor and texture we could get from it. So that became a big reference point for the Season 1 finale where the locals rise up against the Empire. I love hearing these inspirations from classic films that always come up in Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, Lucas himself was influenced by many classics.
But one thing that we both have commented about on the show over and over again was how it made the Empire fearsome and oppressive and omnipresent.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts of Andor. Is the first time not the first time, but one of the first times I really feel like the Empire is terrifying. And
when you see that TIE fighter, and they're literally afraid of one TIE fighter.
Yeah, it's great to see. Even like when stormtroopers show up, you're like, oh, this is the real deal, not something that can't hit me from 5 feet away, and then I can just slap beside the head and it'll, fall over.
Yeah, they do reference how stormtroopers have been a joke, for their incompetence and poor marksmanship, when they're supposed to be, as they were in the show, depicted as deadly and capable soldiers.
Yeah, only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise.
The production team had help from military service members in developing and portraying its Empire stormtroopers. Karen said, "Before I came on board to Andor, I had a feature film project I was hopefully going to make about the origins of the British Army Special Air Service, but a television series beat me to it. I don't think it killed it for me, it slightly took the air out of it. Anyway, while I was developing that, I met a 1-star general who was basically in charge of the SAS. So when I came into Star Wars, I phoned him up and said, I don't think the stormtroopers look like an elite force of troopers. The way they operate doesn't have that professionalism. And he says, is this a joke? And I went on, no, I'm being serious. I'm working on Star Wars. And he went on, I'm the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. When I got married, I walked down the aisle to Darth Vader's Imperial March. And I was like, wow, that's pretty strong. I want you to come and give me some military advice. So this guy and his sergeant major, who had basically been in every known and unknown conflict around the world since the 1980s, were on set with me every day when we were filming the big scenes in Ferrix. What was brilliant was that they gave me the know-how of taking real-world skills and translating them into the Star Wars universe. So they would take the stormtroopers and show them how to clear a street. It actually reminded me a bit of the amazing firefight in Michael Mann's Heat. That's what I wanted in Star Wars. And they spent weeks with me. All of the actors liked having the guys around because as an actor, you want to hang your coat on something real. So when I watch it back, I'm really proud of what these military advisors created for the world and the way the soldiers moved and blockaded the street.
Yeah, it felt like something different about the stormtroopers in Andor than we've ever seen before, yeah.
Yeah, they were organized, they were elite. They always seemed to know what they were doing. They weren't just like marching around aimlessly. There was a purpose to what they were doing.
Yes.
And it felt real, and that's the realism I think Star Wars deserved in this show.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Though I still can't get over coming down the aisle to the Imperial March. I mean, across the stars or something, maybe your wife comes down the aisle
Well, he's a military man in the first place, I mean.
Well, I don't know. I think he would have vetoed me if I was like, hey, I got an idea.
Well, maybe that was like his exit music.
Okay, now that's cool.
Because the groom usually comes down the aisle on their own.
Yeah, I was going to say
he's usually standing at the end beforehand.
He's usually standing there, so he was like, no way, we're changing. The wife's going to stand there.
No.
I'm coming down to Imperial March.
All right. Let's rein you back in. Going into the new This Week in Star Wars section. We've got for Wednesday, because it's a quiet week, except for the Mando Season 3 finale. Woo! Super excited. Couldn't say enough about how excited I am for that. And in comics, we have Sana Staros, number 3, and Yoda, number 6, because that's still a thing.
It is, apparently.
Both of those are still a thing. Ooh, I know. Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Time. To anyone in our Discord who are signed up through Patreon, we will be talking the Mando Season 3 finale at the 8 p.m. Central Time. I say again, voice chat in the Discord.
Should be fun.
Everyone is welcome. It's a real fun time. Sometimes it goes on much longer than expected.
Yeah, till the wee hours of the morning, though. Thor dips out before then, gotta be honest.
Thor doesn't...
Thor starts falling asleep at his computer when it goes too late.
Sometimes Thor dips out really late.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes it's now at the AM when Thor dips out.
Sometimes. Probably for the finale. I hope there's going to be a lot to talk about this Thursday.
We had a good chat, though, this week. We talked a lot about, of course, Mando, and we talked about all the celebration news, and
yeah,
it was really fun. It was a fun time.
It's always fun.
Sometimes we play games, too.
Sometimes.
A
lot of cool people in our Discord.
Yeah, it's a nice group.
Yeah.
It's a nice group. But that's all we've got for you this time.
Oh, you stole it. How dare you? I don't even know how to pick up from there. Leave your comments below and let's talk some Star Wars.
And until next time, thanks for watching.
That's not it at all.